You know that feeling when you're the last one at a house party, holding a warm beer, staring at empty pizza boxes, and suddenly you realize everyone else left in pairs? That hollow, embarrassed moment when you realize you were quietly abandoned while she stayed? Most men live that moment every day in their relationships. He's still there, she's still sitting across from him, but something already left. He was left without being told. Today I'll give you words and moves that flip that whole script. These are not cute lines. They cut through the drama. Most of you will be terrified to use them, and that's why you stay stuck, smaller, quieter, proving love by shrinking yourself. I've watched it happen 1,000 times. A man starts confident. A year in, he asks permission to see his friends. 2 years in, he apologizes for breathing too loudly. Slowly, he stops recognizing the man he once was. She didn't change him overnight. He allowed it. And he thinks this is love. He thinks enduring the tests, the constant permission-seeking, the apologizing for being himself, that's devotion. It's not devotion. It's erosion. Every time she tests him and he folds piece by piece, his attraction dies. Not hers, his. Deep inside her, below the chatter and the scripts, she wants someone stronger than her. When you prove otherwise, a piece of her desire dies. That crown you used to see on her head, the way she walks, the way she looks at you, slowly becomes a throne where she rules, and you become the servant. This is built-in biology and social dynamics. Women test men to confirm strength, but repeated tests, without firm borders, grind any man down. Each check chips at your backbone until you're a hollow echo saying, "Yes, dear," to everything. Here's the hard truth. She will resent you for being weak, even while the tests themselves are what made you weak. She'll hate that you crumpled, and she'll hate what she built from your collapse. That's the paradox. So I'll give you tools. Use them when manipulation escalates, when the games become control, when your self-respect is on life support. These aren't toys. They are truth-telling. Used well, they rebuild respect. Used poorly, like everything, they'll only reflect what you already are. Weapon 1. Call her ordinary, said calmly, as fact. Not cruel, not mocking. Just the truth delivered like a mirror. Steady tone, relaxed face, no heat. When she claims to be different, unique, not like the others, tell her plainly, I thought you were different. I hoped you were different. But you're doing exactly what I've seen before. Same patterns, same games, same drama. Why it lands so hard? Every woman wants to be the exception. She believes she's original, special, above the script. When you calmly reflect that she's acting like many do, it cracks the self-story she lives inside. For the first time, she realizes she isn't the heroine of an original film. She's reciting an old role from a worn script. I watched a guy handle this perfectly. She complained he didn't appreciate her uniqueness. He stayed calm and said, "Appreciated? You say you're special, but you're doing exactly what my ex did, word for word, same scene, same lines." She went silent, not offended, stunned. The autopilot she'd relied on was suddenly visible. How to deliver. Low voice, slow pace, soft eye contact. No sarcasm, no smirk. One line, then silence. Let the pause do the work. If she argues, don't pile on. Repeat once. It's the same pattern. Then drop it. Use it sparingly, not to humiliate, but to expose the loop. When the mask drops, she either resets or doubles down. Either way, you've reclaimed clarity and put the relationship back on truth instead of theater. Weapon 2, absolute indifference to her leaving. She threatens to leave. She says she needs space. She brings up her ex. That's when most men start negotiating with panic, explaining, reassuring, promising to change. Don't. Say it with calm, almost polite indifference. Take the space. I actually have plans. Or, that's too bad. Maybe you two can figure it out. Your tone should feel like you're discussing the weather, unbothered, relaxed, free of tension. Why this works? Most female threats are psychological bets placed on your fear of loss. They're not declarations, they're experiments. She's gambling on your reaction, assuming you're emotionally dependent enough to beg, chase, or prove your worth. When you calmly accept the possibility of her absence, the entire equation flips. Her weapon turns into silence. The moment you show that her exit doesn't collapse your world, her sense of control dissolves. It's not that you want her gone, it's that you're perfectly fine either way. And that calm neutrality is magnetic because it's rare. It tells her, you're wanted, but never needed. A friend of mine experienced this exact scenario. She pulled the classic, maybe we should see other people card, expecting drama and pleading. Instead, he smiled and said, great idea. There's someone I've been meaning to catch up with. Thanks for making that easier. She froze, her entire emotional script short-circuited. The game ended before it began. This isn't cruelty. It isn't manipulation. It's clarity. You're communicating one powerful truth. I don't barter dignity for love. You don't chase validation. You choose peace. And when peace becomes your boundary, no one can weaponize your emotions again. Weapon 3, deflate her sexual myth. Women often believe their sexuality is their ultimate superpower, their final, unshakable line of influence. For many, it's not just part of attraction, it's their identity, their leverage, their unspoken trump card in any argument or power shift. So when a woman treats intimacy as a guarantee of her hold over you, the way to disarm it is through calm indifference. Say it evenly, without sarcasm or sting. Honestly, our sex is normal. I've had more intense connections before. That's fine. Not everyone is extraordinary in every way. Delivered with quiet composure, that single line dismantles the illusion of power. You're not insulting her. You're simply removing the pedestal she built for herself. Why does it hit so hard? Because it shatters the image she spent years maintaining. She expected flattery, validation, worship. Instead, she meets neutrality. And neutrality is emotional kryptonite to control. Her strongest defense suddenly becomes ordinary. This isn't cruelty. It's correction. You're not demeaning her. You're undoing the false hierarchy she built between you. When you're unaffected by the tools she values most, it forces her to see that her worth doesn't lie in manipulation, but in mutual respect. In that moment, the balance resets. You've shown that connection, not compliance, defines attraction. And the power she thought she held over you dissolves quietly, replaced by something she didn't expect. Equality. Weapon 4. Flip the comparison. She points at other couples, scrolls through social media, and sighs, they have more romance. He does more for her. It's a test, not of your wallet, but of your awareness. Turn it calmly, effortlessly. Oh yeah? So does Alex's boyfriend drop everything every time she complains? Because that sounds exhausting. Or maybe your standards belong to a different life. I'm not signing up to live someone else's highlight reel. This isn't sarcasm, it's perspective. You're exposing the illusion she's comparing you to. Because what she calls romance online is often editing, filters, and temporary performance. When you refuse to compete with fiction, you pull her back to reality. Your reality. When comparison stops being a weapon of guilt and becomes a mirror reflecting her motives, everything changes. She can't use other couples as leverage anymore. She can't measure you against fantasy and win. And when that manipulation dies, respect takes its place. Women hate losing to another woman's dream, especially when they are the ones who built it in their head. The moment you calmly detach from that emotional tug-of-war, she has two options: to keep chasing illusions or to start appreciating what's real. So don't get defensive. Don't compete with the digital ghosts of other men. You're not in the business of auditioning for someone else's movie. You're the director of your own. And the man who knows that never gets compared, he gets chosen. Weapon 5, the mirror method. Match energy with energy. If she is cold, be colder. Not cruel, just consistent. If she shows warmth, return it. If she shows respect, give it back. If she withdraws, take a graceful step back too. The law is simple but powerful. Reflect her level exactly as it is. This isn't petty tit for tat. It's calibration, a psychological mirror. In relationships, people reveal their emotional expectations through tone, pace, and attitude. When you reflect that energy calmly instead of reacting emotionally, you show that you're aware and in control of your own state. Women test men to find the edges of their strength. They want to know how far they can push before you lose composure or beg for balance. By mirroring, you show her precisely what she's giving you. No more, no less. And in that reflection, she sees her own behavior clearly for the first time. That's when she's forced to make a decision: escalate, apologize, or evolve. A friend of mine lived this perfectly. His girlfriend once humiliated him in a crowded mall, snapping about how weak he was. He didn't argue, didn't raise his voice. He just nodded, said calmly, "You're right. I'm pathetic for staying in this. That ends now." Then he turned and walked out. No drama, no backward glance. He didn't vanish out of spite. He simply reflected what she gave. Rejection, met with detachment. A week later, she reached out first, apologizing, confused, suddenly respectful. Because when the mirror was held up, she didn't like what she saw. And the man she thought she could control had quietly rewritten the script. Weapon 6, agree and exit, the consent method. When she launches an attack, maybe we should break up. You're not a real man. The weak man pleads, no, I love you. Please don't go. The strong man breathes once, looks her in the eyes, and says calmly, you're right. Maybe we should. If that's what you want, I'll help you pack. That's the moment the game ends. You see, she expects chaos, argument, guilt, an emotional tug of war. She's prepared for resistance, not stillness. But when you agree instead of defending, you remove the oxygen from her fire. Her entire mechanism, the push to test your strength, collapses in silence. Because she wasn't trying to leave, she was trying to feel your power. And instead, she felt her own reflection in your calm refusal to play. In psychology, this is called pattern interruption, breaking a loop by refusing to feed it energy. She launches a drama expecting emotion, and you answer with composure. It shocks the system. The dynamic flips instantly. Now she's the one rethinking, explaining, backtracking, because your agreement forced her to look at her own intentions. You didn't fight her. You didn't chase her. You just stood still and let truth do the work. And here's the paradox. 9 times out of 10, when you stop chasing, she stops running. When you stop defending, she starts questioning. When you agree and exit, she either recalibrates or she disappears. Either outcome is a win because both free you from playing the boy who begs. The strong man knows. Peace doesn't come from control. It comes from walking away when the game isn't worth playing. Weapon 7. Live better without her. If she does leave, don't crumble. Flourish. Not out of spite, but out of truth. The world didn't end when she walked out. It just got quieter, clearer, lighter. Start doing everything you paused for her comfort. Meet the friends she didn't like. Take the trip she mocked. Revive the hobbies she called childish. Post glimpses of it, and not to provoke, but to prove to yourself that life didn't shrink when she left. It expanded. That's real power. Not revenge, not performance, liberation. When your absence becomes your strength, the story flips. Suddenly, she's the one replaying memories, scrolling your photos, asking herself, if he's happier without me, what was my role? What did I actually bring? That's the moment the crown starts to crack. Because nothing disrupts control like seeing the man she tried to break start shining brighter. She either changes or she fades. The chase collapses because her old tactics no longer work. You've shifted from the man who begged for peace to the man who became peace. I've seen this pattern 100 times. The man stops pleading, starts living. He trains again, laughs again, travels again. He becomes the man she once fell for. But now, he's doing it for himself. And when she finally reaches out, the energy is different. He's not waiting. He's already gone. Often, it's too late, but sometimes it sparks real respect. Because for the first time, she sees him as he truly is. Not the man who needed her to feel complete, but the man who became complete without her. And that's when she finally understands what she lost. A few dangerous truths, but they're true. Listen, this is not about becoming cruel. It's about becoming honest. Women test. That's a biological social instinct. They want to know if you're strong enough to carry them when they are weak. When you fail test after test, you aren't protecting the relationship. You're killing attraction slowly. Yes, men who open up and be vulnerable sometimes lose attraction. Not because vulnerability is bad, because if your vulnerability reads like weakness, you stop being a fortress she can lean on. She wants to be able to fall into strength, not rescue collapse. There are cases where a man sharing genuine struggle deepens intimacy, but many men mistake needy confession for connection. The difference is this. Vulnerability layered with strength is magnetic. Vulnerability that seeks rescue is exhausting. Final truth, it's not an arsenal, it's boundaries. If you choose to use these lines, use them honestly. Don't weaponize truth to bully. Use them to reclaim your life. Start with, I thought you were different. If you want to leave, take your space. I have plans. Our physical life has been fine. I've had deeper connections. Maybe you deserve someone who fits what you want. Then live it. Don't post to punish. Live to prove your worth to yourself. When you show you don't need validation to feel whole, that's when she will either step up or step out. And if she steps out, that's fine. You weren't losing yourself. You were finding yourself. Women aren't villains for testing. They are searching for strength. But you must decide, will you be the man who cowers and apologizes, or the man who plants a flag and says calmly, I won't bargain my dignity for your drama? Most men choose fear. You don't have to. Here's the red button. Press it and wake up tomorrow a man who speaks truth, keeps his boundaries, and stops performing to be loved. Or don't press it and spend the rest of your life shrinking to fit someone else's crown. Remember this. She doesn't fear losing you as much as she fears you not needing her. She fears your indifference more than your anger. Say the hard things rarely, hold your peace frequently, and choose you. If you want to rebuild respect, yours first, then hers, start small. Say maybe instead of arguing. Say I don't need this instead of begging. Walk away before the last pizza box is emptied. You can be kind and firm. You can be honest without cruelty. You can be the man who refuses to die a little for someone else's control. Choose the red button. Choose yourself.